back to DreadFX Custom Paint. In today's video I'm going to give you a beginner's guide into airbrushes. I've got my personal collection in front of me here and I can talk you through some of the brands that I've experienced through the years, what are good, what are no good, and what I'd recommend for a beginner. So I'll start off with, when I first started out in the airbrush career, I started with an Airbrushes Super 63. Now these back in the day are like the microns of today, with the needle setup in this. These are really good for fine detailed work, and this is what I started off with as a beginner, guys. So there's a lot of people saying you should start with a bigger needle setup. Yes, I would recommend that for a beginner because you are not used to your paint consistencies and you've got to get your paint dialed in to get it to flow right. So a bigger needle is a way to go, but I went straight into this and it was basically like jumping straight onto a micron, and I progressed on. So I started off with the Airbrushes Super 63, then I moved into the Harder and Steenbeck range, and the first Harder and Steenbeck that I purchased was a 0.2 and it was the Focus, and I had that brush for 2 to 3 years, and I stuck with Harder and Steenbeck and went across their range. I moved on to the Evolution Silverline Solo. This is the one with the air adjust just here. This is a 0.2. Brilliant beginner's brush. Would recommend it. Harder and Steenbeck range. As I went through that, as I started my journey, the Harder and Steenbeck range worked absolutely perfect for me, and then I moved on to a detailed brush of the Harder and Steenbeck range, which was the Infinity, which is a 0.15. So I moved on to that, so all my detailed work I was doing with the Infinity. Then I went on a course and got pushed towards the Iwatas, and I picked up the Iwata Eclipse, the HP-SPS. This is a 0.5mm. This is a bottom feed airbrush, and if you're starting out and going into, you want to get into the t-shirt side of airbrushing or wall murals and things like that, this would be the brush to go for because you can get the paint down with it. You can quick change your bottles on the bottom, so these work really well. A brilliant workhorse. This brush is over 10 years old and it has never missed a beat. It has worked absolutely fine, guys, this brush. So yeah, outstanding brush. So that's the Iwata HP-SPS on the 0.15. So that is a big recommendation for a beginner if you are looking into going t-shirt route, or just as a brush if you want to do and get some paint down. It's a great brush for getting some paint down on your panels if you're doing background on portraits and things like that. So that one I would recommend, the Iwata. Then I steered on to some more Iwata ranges, and I picked up the next brush that I picked up. I jumped straight onto a micron because I was doing a lot of portraits at the time, and I picked up the CMSB Custom Micron. This one's the side feed, so you'd get your cup and you put your cup on the side like that, and you can put that cup that side. This one's a 0.18, and at the time these were pricing out at about 365, around 400, around that sort of price range, and it was like a brush that I always wanted because every artist had one, and I eventually got one, and I was permanently using this. This was my go-to brush for any portraits, any detail work, basically any work. I was just always picking up the Custom Micron. So that was the next Iwata that I got. So that's the Custom Micron. Yes, I would recommend it. It's expensive for what it is, when there's other brushes that I'm going to show you in a minute that will get the same detail down as that and are a lot cheaper, but they are a great brush. It's the flagship of the Iwata range. So if you've gone into the airbrush and you are 4 or 5 years down the line and you're looking for a really good detail brush, yes, the Micron, you won't have any problems with it. It will perform every single time. I've not changed any pieces on that, and that's over 5 years old now, and that's still working absolutely spot on. So I moved on to the Micron, got the Micron, And then I wanted a bit more of a, because that's a 0.18, I wanted a brush like another all-rounder, but I wanted to go for another Iwata. So I picked up the HP-SPS Plus, which basically looks like a micron. You've got your adjuster on the back, like the micron, a different sort of cap setup. It looks more like an eclipse cap on the front. You've got your side cup again. This one's a 0.2 mil. So it's really nice for detail, gets a bit of paint down, so it's a bit more of an all-rounder. So I was putting the micron down and then jumping onto this. Kept this in my hand for quite some time, got really used to this. Another great brush by Iwata, highly recommend it. Cheaper than the micron, these are around $245 for these ones, but another superb brush. So I jumped onto that and I was using that for some time. And then I picked up another Iwata, which is another side feed, and this is the model before that one. This is the Eclipse, this is the HP-SPS, and this is a 0.35. And for a beginner, I'll recommend one of these because it's the 0.35. It's a little bit more user friendly with your paint. So if you're starting out and you're just dropping your paint straight in without thinning it down, this one on a good air pressure should do the job. It's all about thinning your paint out with these brushes. All these will be good for a beginner. You've just got to get your paint dialed in for them because they're all different needle sizes. But the Eclipse would be a good starter brush. I'm not too clued up on the price of these. I think they're around $165, so you're getting an Iwata brand for about $165, and it's a cracking brush. It works, it'll get your paint down and it will get your super fine detail down as well. Lovely finish on them. Yeah, another good starter brush for a beginner would be the HP-SPS, and that's a 0.35 mil. So that was onto the Iwatas for quite some time, and I was always using Iwatas, and then I came across the Mr. Hobby range, which is the CREOS range, and I moved on to the CREOS range, which are here, and I picked up the PS270 CREOS, and these come in at £116, and this is a 0.2. And I picked this up and I've not put the thing down since. The Iwatas I've got pushed to the side, and I am permanently using the CREOS range because they work absolutely outstanding, guys. They are superb brushes, and for £116 as a beginner's brush, I know it's a 0.2, so you've got to get your paint dialed in that little bit better, but out of the two, you're paying $160 for the Iwata when you can get the CREOS PS270 £118. 0.2, you get your adjuster on the back, which you don't get on the Eclipse. You get a MAC valve to the front, so you can dial your air pressure in as you're spraying. So all in all, the package of the CREOS PS270 is better than the Eclipse. The Eclipse is a great brush and will do exactly what this does, but you've just got them little two extra features with the MAC valve and your dialing in your trigger on the back, which I prefer. It's a really, really comfortable brush. You've got a nice slope here, so when it's in your hand and you're holding it, I've done a lot of my videos and I'm always picking this up. I always jump from this one. So that's the one I picked up, and that's the one I'm always using at the minute, is the CREOS. I always bang on about the CREOS range. So I picked up the PS270, and then I moved on to their next model up, and I picked up, after trying this one and seeing what the detail and the trigger response was like on the PS270, I went for the PS771. This turned up, chucked some paint in it, and this is incredible brush. It really is. This will match that micron hands down. The trigger on this is really, really nice. Soft, smooth. It's a 0.18, so you're getting your super fine detail down. you've got your Mac valve to the front. You can adjust your trigger at the back. So I moved on to this one, and another great brush. Glad I got it. So that's in the collection. And then I wanted another brush for getting some paint down. So if you're a beginner and you've got your brushes, say you brought the CREOS PS270 and you're strolling along with that, you're probably down a year down the line and you want to drop some more paint down, you could go for the Eclipse, the HP-SPS with the bottom feed on a 0.15. This will get you paint down on good coverage. But I opted for the CREOS PS290, which is a trigger airbrush, big cup to the top. This has got a fan cap on it and it's got a spot cap, and this is absolutely, hands down, a great brush. It really is. It hammers the paint down. I've got reviews on all these brushes, so I'll do an in-depth review on each of these brushes and tell you my thoughts on it in depth. But if you're looking for a brush to get some paint down, if you're doing a lot of small stuff and you want to get some primers down, you want to do clear coating, this will do it. This will do it with ease. So that's why I picked up the PS290. So these are the brushes that I've got. I then moved on to RICHPEN and picked up this. And this is a 112A RICHPEN, and it's a 0.2mm again, and this one's got a scallop in the top where you put your paint. And the reason why I picked this one up is I've never seen this brand. It's been around for a long time, and this came up at a bargain. It was on an offer on a website, so I picked this one up. I thought I'd give it a go because I started out with the DeVille Bliss, and as you can see, they've got that similar look about them, and I thought, well, I'll give this a try. Another cracking brush, really light in your hand, lovely trigger response. I've yet to sit with this on a portrait or something like that, but I'll do a video with this brush so you can see it in action. But lovely trigger, and at a great price. This worked out, delivered £105. So you're getting a really good detailed brush for £105 there. So there's a lot of brushes out there, guys, if you're a beginner. This is my range that I've started with from 12 years plus, and I've worked through these, and this is what I've got now, and I'll stick with what I've got now. There'll be a couple of extras I'm looking at. There's a Pache one I'm going to buy, what I'll do a review on for you. But I would recommend any of these brushes, even if you're a beginner. Even if you're a beginner and you've got a lot of money and you want to burn a lot of money and you're going to jump straight onto a micron as a beginner. If you do that and jump straight onto one of these, you can, it's not a problem. You'll be dialing in your paint, get your paint correct. If you get your paint correct and thinned out right, you'll be fine on any of these. But if you're a bit dubious, complete novice, haven't got an absolute clue, drop onto either an Eclipse or a PS270 as a good beginner's brush. I'd probably say Eclipse. Yes, I've just said about the CREOS being better for two other features, but them features can come into play later on in the line when you've been a couple of years down. The Eclipse will work absolutely fine. It's robust, easy to clean, you won't have any dramas, your paint will get through it nice and easy. You still have to thin it, but not as much as thinning it down for the PS270. So that's my mini review for beginners, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll leave links to the brushes and where you can get the best price for these. There'll be a couple of links in the description on these brushes. If you want to see any in-depth videos, as I say, I've done reviews on all these brushes, apart from that one, the Super 63. I've not done a review on that one, but every other brush I've got a full review on the channel. So you can have a look, you'll see it spray, and you'll get to see what that brush can do. There's also compressor review and things like that. So if you're a complete beginner, just have a scroll through the videos and have a look. But this was my beginner's guide into airbrushes and what I'd recommend. As I say, I'd recommend any of these as a beginner. You could pick up the Infinity, but just get your paint dialed in. If you're going for something like a straight in on a detailed brush, think about your paint, think about dialing your paint in. The next video that's going to be coming up is going to be about paint, and I've gone through an array of paint. So the next video that's coming up on the channel will be a beginner's guide into paint, thinning, different brands, what brands I'd recommend, the brands that I've tried through the years in airbrushing. So yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget, if you're new to my channel, click that subscribe, press that notification so you don't miss out on any more up and coming videos on DreadFX Custom Paint. Big warm welcome to all the subscribers and all the comments, guys. It's much appreciated. I'll get back to you straight on them, and yeah, I'll see you lot in the next one.